You've felt it before. The small ritual of lighting something up. The pause before the first inhale. The strange comfort of watching smoke rise and disappear. You probably think of smoking as a modern habit, something invented alongside cigarettes and lighters and vape pens. But the real answer is far stranger. Humans have been deliberately setting plants on fire and breathing in the smoke for at least 12,000 years. And the reason your brain still wants that ritual has almost nothing to do with the last century. It has almost everything to do with the first humans who ever tried it. Somewhere in what is now the Utah desert, archaeologist Daron Duke and his team uncovered something that rewrote the timeline of human smoking. They found charred wild tobacco seeds near ancient hearths dating back roughly 12,300 years. That makes it the oldest known evidence of humans using tobacco anywhere on Earth. These were not farmers. They were hunter-gatherers living at the edge of an Ice Age marsh, roasting ducks over open fires. And somewhere in that same firelight, someone decided to burn a bitter stimulating plant and breathe in what it produced. Why would anyone do that? Wild tobacco is harsh. It is not food. It offers no calories. And yet it spread not because it fed anyone, but because of what it did to the brain. Nicotine is a stimulant. It sharpens focus, suppresses appetite, and triggers a fast, clean release of dopamine, the same chemical messenger tied to reward and motivation. In a world where humans needed sustained alertness during long hunts, harsh winters, and unpredictable threats, a plant that could deliver quick mental clarity was worth the discomfort of burning leaves. The habit did not need to make sense to your stomach. It only needed to make sense to your brain's reward system. And tobacco was not the only smoke rising from ancient fires. Thousands of years later, high in the Pamir Mountains of Central Asia, archaeologist Robert Spengler and his colleagues examined wooden burners recovered from a 2,500-year-old cemetery. Chemical analysis revealed charred cannabis residue with unusually high levels of its psychoactive compound. This was not hemp being used for rope or cloth. This was cannabis, deliberately selected and burned specifically for its mind-altering smoke, likely as part of funeral rituals meant to help mourners enter an altered state alongside the dead. Whoever organized that ceremony understood something your brain still responds to, that shared smoke can turn private grief into a collective experience. Notice what these two discoveries, an ocean and thousands of years apart, actually share. In both cases, ancient humans were not smoking to survive. They were smoking to change how their minds felt. That single detail matters more than it seems. Fire itself made this possible in the first place. Once early humans controlled flame, they gained access to a category of experience that simply did not exist before: the ability to convert a solid plant into an inhalable vapor. Smoke could carry compounds directly into the bloodstream through the lungs, faster than eating or chewing ever could. In a sense, fire did not just cook your ancestors' food. It also invented a new, faster delivery system straight to the brain's reward circuitry. This delivery system spread across nearly every continent in its own local form. In the Americas, long before European contact, tobacco was not just inhaled casually. It became formalized into pipe ceremonies. Archaeologists have traced elaborately carved stone and clay pipes across North America for well over 2,000 years, some shaped like animals, some clearly reserved for ceremonial rather than everyday use. Among many indigenous nations, the shared pipe, sometimes called a calumet by early European observers, was smoked to seal agreements, mark peace between rival groups, and open councils where important decisions were made. The smoke itself was treated as something closer to a messenger, carrying words, intentions, or prayers upward. This was not casual habit, it was infrastructure for trust. Is it possible this was really about ritual and community rather than the chemical hit itself? Almost certainly, at least in part. Shared smoke, passed from person to person around a fire, is one of the oldest forms of bonding humans have. A pipe passed hand to hand says, without a single word, that everyone in that circle is sharing the same experience together. Anthropologists studying tobacco and cannabis use across ancient and indigenous cultures consistently find the same pattern. Smoking rarely stayed a solitary act. It became ceremony. It marked adulthood, mourning, agreement, and trust. The chemical effect and the social ritual reinforced each other, each one making the other more powerful. But underneath every one of these rituals, the biology was doing something specific and consistent, something your brain still recognizes today. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz's research on dopamine and reward prediction showed that your brain does not simply respond to pleasure after it happens. It responds most strongly to the anticipation of a reward that might be coming. That is precisely what a lit pipe or a rolled leaf offers. A fast, reliable, repeatable signal that something rewarding is about to happen inside your body. Your ancestors' brains lit up in anticipation the moment smoke started to rise, exactly the way yours does now, watching a lighter spark or an ember glow. This anticipation effect is stronger than most people realize. Studies on nicotine and dopamine consistently find that the reward signal spikes before the substance ever fully reaches the brain, triggered by the ritual itself, the smell, the motion, the first breath. Your body has learned to expect the reward so precisely that it starts celebrating before the reward has even arrived. That is not a modern glitch. That is a very old, very efficient survival mechanism, repurposed. This explains something that has puzzled a lot of people trying to quit smoking or vaping in the modern world. It is not just the nicotine you're craving. It's the entire sequence, the reaching, the lighting, the inhale, the exhale. Your brain rewards the ritual almost as much as it rewards the chemical, because that is exactly how this behavior worked for thousands of generations before cigarettes ever existed. Strip away the ritual and keep only the chemical, and the craving often weakens. Strip away the chemical and keep only the ritual, and surprisingly, part of the craving can still be satisfied. Your brain was never only chasing a molecule, it was chasing an entire experience. Modern smoking did not invent this craving, it only industrialized something ancient. It took a 12,000-year-old human behavior and made it cheaper, faster, and available on every street corner. What once required finding the right wild plant, drying it, and building a fire now requires walking into a store or opening an app. The behavior stayed exactly the same, only the friction disappeared. Think about how strange that really is. A hunter-gatherer standing at the edge of an Ice Age wetland, roasting a duck over the fire, reaches for a bitter wild plant and breathes in smoke on purpose. Centuries later, someone in Central Asia lights cannabis over a mourner's grave for the exact same reason, to shift what their mind was feeling. On another continent entirely, a council of elders passes a carved stone pipe hand to hand to seal a promise between two nations. And today, someone reaches for a vape pen or a cigarette in a moment of stress, running the same ancient circuitry, dressed up in modern packaging, stripped of the ceremony that once surrounded it. You are not chasing a new habit. You are running an old one that helped your ancestors sharpen focus, bond with their tribe, seal their agreements, and mark the most important moments of their lives, long before anyone had a word for addiction. You've felt it before, that small ritual of lighting something up, that pause before the first breath in. Now you know it is not new. It is one of the oldest rituals your species ever discovered, still glowing quietly every time smoke rises and you breathe it in.
Drop a comment and let me know. And if this video helped you understand how arguments really work, smash that like button. There's way more advanced stuff where this came from.